Hello and welcome back. This section covers a very important and beloved topic of test case design techniques. This is where testers get their creativity. We will learn many techniques, but before we start, let's first know exactly what we are trying to achieve here. First, let's talk about the test development process. Remember the test process defined in the introduction? The 5 steps: planning and controlling, analysis and design, implementation and execution, evaluating the exit criteria and reporting, and 5, test closure activity. What we are trying to do here is creating test cases, which is related to step number 2, analysis and design. But let's go deeper to see how test cases are created from the very beginning and how they will be used throughout the whole test process. In the analysis part of the analysis and design step, we should decide on the test conditions. So what is the test condition? A test condition is an item or event of a component or system that could be verified by one or more test cases. For example, a function, transaction, feature, quality attribute, or structure element. So any tiny minor thing that needs to be tested is called a test condition. We should collect all the test conditions that we have and put them in a document called Test Design Specification document. There could be hundreds or thousands of test conditions, so we need to prioritize them. Put the most important conditions first, so we can provide the highest ranking test conditions and extra care and testing. Let's see an example. Imagine in our software called ExpertWave, we have a screen where we need to enter the age of the employee and then hit OK. Don't ask me why we have a single field called age on a screen, but this is just a customer request. Anyway, this part of the requirement could be read like this. Requirement 1.a. The age of the employee shall be in the range from 20 to 50 whole numbers only. Now, what would you do to test this part of the requirement? The way I think about it is every word in the requirement document need to be tested. So almost every word is a test condition. I know this is a very extreme and doesn't actually happen like this, but this is just so you can get the idea. So in our example, we have the following test conditions. 1. Range 20 to 50. 2. The word whole. 3. The word numbers. So those are the 3 test conditions. If I asked you to list these test conditions according to their importance, how would you do that? Well, I think they look prioritized to me that way. 1 is the range, 2nd is the word whole, 3 is the word number. The design part of the analysis and design process step means design a test case that will verify the test conditions or test objectives. So now, what is a test case? A test case is a set of input values, preconditions, expected results, and post conditions developed for a particular objective or test condition. Again, we should collect all the test cases that we have and put them in a document called the Test Case Specification document. There could be hundreds or thousands of test cases, so again we need to prioritize them. Put the most important test cases first so we can provide the highest ranking test cases and extra attention. Let's continue with our example to see how to create test cases. First, let's look at the first test condition, range 20 to 50. How would you test this test condition? Give it a thought for a second, pause the video and then come back again. Correct. So we should test below the range, so we will try 10, which should be rejected by our software. And we should test inside the range, so we will try 40, which should be accepted by our software. And above the range, so we will try 60, which should be again rejected by the software. Notice here that I didn't say just we will test below the range and in the middle of the range and above the range, but I said I will try 10, which is below the range. Test cases contain data. Again, test cases contain data. The second test condition, whole, So whole numbers are valid, but non-whole numbers are not valid. So let's make sure our software does this. So let's try 40, which should be accepted by the software as a whole number, and try 30.4, which should be rejected by the software because it's not a whole number. Last test condition, numbers. So let's try 40, which should be accepted by the software, and try XYZ as characters, which should be rejected by the software. Great. Did you notice something? There could be more than one test case to satisfy a single test condition. And there could be a single test case in our example, the 40, that satisfies more than one test condition. Now, if you need to parameterize those test cases, how would you do that? In my opinion, and you might not agree with me fully about this, I would say 40, then 30.4, then 10, then 60, then XYZ. It doesn't matter if you thought different. It could actually be different depending on the context of the software. Remember this testing principle? Testing is context dependent? Well, but I have put 30.4 high because I thought many users might do the mistake of putting a decimal more than putting a lower or higher value than the range. So it varies in opinions. The third step is the implementation part of implementation and execution. We should write a test procedure to execute the test case and write a test execution schedule. This is beyond the scope of this lecture, but I will talk about it for a second to demonstrate how test cases are used. So if you want to actually test the number 40, can you just type 40? No. You need to set up the software to be ready to try the test case. Therefore, to test 40, you would 1. Launch the ExpertWave application. 2. Select the new employee menu item from the employee menu. The new employee dialog should be displayed. And 3. Check that the cursor blinking inside the age field. 4. Type in 40 and click the OK button. 5. Check that the message "Thank you" is displayed. Do you really need to go into these detailed steps? Yes. Do you need to write the steps? Yes. Why, you may ask? Because this test procedure can be executed by anyone other than you. So you want it to be as clear as possible for anyone to understand and execute without any ambiguities. Notice few points in this test procedure. 1. It tested that the cursor is blinking in the age field, even though it's not mentioned in the requirement document. 2. The test procedure tested more than one test case, actually. It tested the existence of the menu item new employee under the employee menu. It tested the cursor is blinking, and it tested the number 40 is accepted in the age field. Another test procedure for the 3.4 test case might look like this. 1. Launch the ExpertWave application. 2. Type Ctrl-N. The new employee dialog should be displayed. 3. Check that the cursor is blinking inside the age field. 4. Type in 30.4 and press the Enter key. 5. Check that the alert age should be whole numbers only is displayed. You can notice more extra points here. We changed the way we do things whenever we can. For triggering the new employee menu item, in the first test procedure we tried to click on the menu, and in the second test procedure we tried the shortcut Ctrl-N. Same thing for triggering the OK button. This is how you should do things in test cases and test case procedures. Try to vary the scenario of doing the same thing. After implementing all the test procedures, we put them in a document called Test Case Procedure document, and again there could be hundreds or thousands of test procedures, so we need to parameterize them. Put the most important test cases first, so we can provide the highest ranking test procedure more frequency of execution. Also, the sequence of the test procedure should be intelligent enough to minimize the time required to execute the test procedures. For example, if you need to execute 3 test procedures: create new employee, delete employee, update employee, how would you parameterize them? Think about it for a second. Pause the video and come back again. Correct. We will start by creating a new employee, then updating that employee, then deleting that employee. So the employees database will be exactly the same after executing the 3 test procedures, even if we tried those test procedures hundreds of times. Any other sequence will be a waste of time and database space. The last thing to talk about here is the execution part of the implementation and execution test process step. Here we would run the test procedure, log the result in the test log, and report any discrepancies to the developer if any. Thank you.